So here we go. Scuba Obsessed, a weekly podcast. We talk about all things scuba diving, from cool new gear, to places to dive, and scuba news. Scuba Obsessed episode 544 is recorded live August 4th, 2022. Welcome back to Scuba Obsessed. I'm Darren Gilson, coming to you from the southwest side of the great state of Michigan, where I can't believe it's August already.
We've got an echo.
We've got an echo.
Big time. I see two pictures of it. You just stand by a second.
We went all that way and now it started.
Well, I can hear you, but I just like, what?
One, two, three, four. I don't think it's on this end. You have two.
I can hear you good. Are we back? Nope, there's two of me.
You said there's two of you.
Yeah, I see two of me.
I don't know what that means.
Whenever the screen comes up with you right here on the right, I have two of me on the left. That is weird.
Well, now I see two of you because you've got two windows open. You've got two streams going. So I am going to...
I don't have any screens open, but I hear you really good. So what the hell does that mean?
Well, what's going on is you've got two... Well, now one went away. You have a second window open, like you got two browser windows open into the video room. So
okay, my screens are all clear.
Okay.
And I still can hear you, so I don't know how the hell that's going on.
No, you still have a window somewhere. The original window.
All right, now I got one of me again.
That's what you need.
All right.
You're cloning. You can't if you get in the same spot as a clone, then reality collapses. Oh. Okay, so let's try it again. Hopefully I remember to chop this. We got somebody in the chat room. They probably are really enjoying this. Scuba Obsessed, a weekly podcast. We talk about all things scuba diving, from cool new gear to places to dive and scuba news. Scuba Obsessed episode 544 is recorded live August 4th, 2022. Welcome back to Scuba Obsessed. I'm Darren Gilson, coming to you from the southwest side of the great state of Michigan. We're joining me this week. We have Mac, the dive mentor. How you doing today, Mac?
I'm doing very well. I'm glad to be here.
It's nice to have you here. It's August. How is that possible? The year is just winding away.
Everybody I talk to is the same thing. It's like, what the hell happened? Did I go through a time warp?
Is it a mass hypnosis? Hey, Eric's in the chat room. I don't know how to explain it. I just been really busy, but it's like I feel like I'm getting myself set up for some sort of sanity. Like sanity's coming. Now I feel like that all the time. Probably for the last 7 years. But But I think I'm getting close. It's not me who's crazy, it's everybody else.
Now, if you said Santa, I'd understand what you meant.
Well, I resemble Santa in certain characteristics, but
I'll be here before you know it.
well, I think the supply chain is still kind of messed up, so it's never too early to get your Christmas shopping in.
It's never too early to get Christmas shopping. I tell you what, before you know it, they're going to be having freaking Christmas music.
Yep. So
in the stores.
are you saying we need to get ready for our ice dives?
Probably.
We probably need to get that stuff all set up. Oh, well. Let's see. It took a little bit. I feel like I'm getting the hang of this. I say that every week. So on that note, let's go ahead and jump right on into the news. We'll queue up the articles. Make sure I got the right screen going. So we just need a producer. That's all it would take. You know, a nice producer would get all this organized. You wouldn't have to be dealing with me. Scuba divers to clean up Marquette's lower harbor deep waters on Saturday. We've been covering this one for a few years. Up there, Marquette, Michigan. It's the the fourth annual. I guess this is probably the fourth time we've covered it. On Saturday, pick up tires and other junk. The annual effort for the fourth straight year, Scuba Divers and Lake Preservation Club is holding its underwater cleanup. Each year, divers from the UP and even the Midwest have come to Lower Harbor to pick up tons of tires, other junk from the bottom of Lake Superior. The main idea for this endeavor is to protect the environment for swimmers, fish, and wildlife. I want to leave a place a lot better than the way I found it when I started diving 30 years ago, said club president Don Fassbender. We can all pitch in and do our best to improve the environment, but it takes a great effort like this to make a marked improvement. The divers are going to start going in the water at 9 a.m. on Saturday and will end at noon. Volunteers are asked to arrive an hour early to help set up displays. And if you want to get involved, you can head on over to their Facebook page. There's a link in the article, and we have all the articles in the show notes. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, they're also in the description there. So that's such a that structure they have there. That's probably from where the ore used to load. It was
more than likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it wasn't so far, and we remembered to have notice,
yeah,
that'd be worth going to.
Well, don't we have divers up in the UP now this week? Did they go, or is it next week?
Let's see. Nope, they went last. Excuse me. They left the 29th, so we should have a boat or two.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
So they could have snuck up there.
Up in Mackinac.
Right.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, man, it's it's just you got to do the hand thing. It's not that far. You just kind of it's just from like a knuckle to a pinky or something. So yeah, Michigan's one of those ridiculously huge states. I think it's like Michigan, Florida, Texas, California. They're one of those states where you can start at one end and then 9 hours later you still haven't gotten to the other side.
Indiana's like that when you're going the long way down. It's like, are we ever going to get out of Indiana?
Well, yeah.
You hit Tennessee, and unless you're going left and right,
mm-hmm.
I mean, you're through Tennessee before you can blink.
Yeah, that's true. Like when you do Florida from here, and we're in Southwest Michigan, so 20 minutes we're into Indiana. But yeah, that's you go down there, you get Evansville. I mean, you just keep going and going. Well, let's see the next one we've got on the list. 4 generations of scuba divers brave the water together for the first time. Northwest Divers is a Moorhead-based family-run business. It's been going strong for 50 years. The owner, Van Raden family, are spending a weekend at Lake 6 in Brazos, Minnesota as part of a family gathering. Today, they pass a milestone. 4 generations of Van Ridens joined together to submerge in the waters of the lake for scuba diving. Well, just about the whole family scuba dives. It's the first time great-grandfather to great-grandchild got to do it together. Rick Van Raden is the current owner of Northwest Diving. He bought the place from his dad, Charles. Scuba has been part of his life for as long as he can remember. You know, I have to get the experience that I've had now. I get to watch my grandkids have that same experience, Rick said. While Rick loves observing the local marine life and solidarity nature of scuba, for him, the sweetest part of it is all his friends he's made on the way. It's even how he met his wife, Sheila. She took the scuba diving class. I was instructor, and you know, just young kids, and we just fell in love, Rick remembered. His father, Charles, represents the oldest generation of the Van Radens entering the water today. He's 80 years old and still going strong with his diving. He picked up the hobby when he was very young. It's always interested me why sometimes you catch a fish and sometimes you don't. And I thought, well, I'm going to go down there and find this out. And to this day, believe it or not, I still don't know why. Charles says scuba has been good to his family. It directed his career path, led him to travel around the world, and served as a way for his family to bond. He said it was a beautiful moment for him today, a culmination of his life's work. What I'll call pass the torch, you might say. He finally got to see his children, his children's children, and his children's children's children all joined together in the pastime he loves. Life has been good to me. I was diagnosed with cancer a little over 20 years ago. I never thought I'd see this particular date. You know, here we are, and I'm enjoying it immensely. They didn't say how young the great-grandson was.
I'm looking at the picture, and he ain't too big.
No.
So I'd say he's under 10.
You think so?
Yes.
My bet was 11, but yeah, maybe under 10. He's young. He can't drive a car, that's for sure.
Well, if you got the whole family has been doing this forever, which they have, I bet that kid's been in the pool with scuba on as soon as he could. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now I bet he don't have no dry suit, but he's got everything else.
Yeah, dry suit. If you're small, old tyke, was that trash bag? You just kind of.
Yeah, no, that would work.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
Or Flex Seal. Just dip them in a bunch of Flex Seal.
We've been talking about that.
We keep bringing that up. That'll be a meme before long. A new rare jellyfish filmed by a scuba diver as the size of a soccer ball. On December 27th, 2021, Dorian Borchard of Scuba Ventures captured what researchers deem a new undiscovered species of jellyfish during a scuba diving excursion in the sea under Papua New Guinea. In this high-quality video, thanks to underwater camera design, the scuba diver managed to capture the pulsating jellyfish gliding through the water in its flimsy, whitish covered, dotted with black circles markings. What caught the attention of the scuba diver was the size of the jellyfish, which he compared to a soccer ball, even a bit bigger than that, and how fast it swam through its red-colored tentacles that swayed along the water's laps. Going to close, the video also displays red parts inside the jellyfish belly, and they throbbed as the jellyfish glided through the water, creating hypnotic movement as it went forward. Orchards had never seen anything like it before, so curious scuba diver wanted to find out whether the jellyfish could be identified or was already existing in the expanding list of the species. He sent the video to his daughter, who then tried to help her father pinpoint the identity of the species through the use of a jellyfish app. And a jellyfish app? Because you never know when you have a random jellyfish. It could not be identified through the app's database, so the daughter uploaded the video to the forum. Half an hour later, Lisa Ann Gershwin of the Australian Marine Stinger Advisory Service reached out to express that she thought the jellyfish in the video was the same one caught in the Great Barrier Reef in May 1997. And I'm not even going to tell you what the name is. Dr. Gershwin collaborated with Queensland Museum in Brisbane to find out whether the jellyfish Borchard captured was the same. And after about a comparison analysis, the team found out the jellyfish is a new undiscovered species.
Now that's got to be cool.
That is. And that is a really striking look. I mean, it almost is so graphically designed, it looks fake. Wow. You could take that pattern that's on there and you could apply that to all sorts of things. I think that'd make a cool pattern on a t-shirt or a wetsuit.
Does he get since he found that out, does he get to name it or have it named after him?
I don't know. Let's see. That says Dr. Gershwin's yet to submit her research through a peer-reviewed paper, so scientists, researchers in the field could identify and classify the rare jellyfish. As she shares, the new species, like every other discovery, has to be tested. The first run to considered a hypothesis. The jellyfish orchards caught needs to be formally named and classified before it can receive the technical term of discovery. Dr. Gershwin shares with ABC News that she has been meticulously throughout the process since it was involved in the reclassification of the original species. In the meantime, another question the researchers are yet to answer is the origin and history of the rare jellyfish. Oh, look at... And I know that they've pumped it up a little bit with Photoshop, but that is just an amazing photo. There's another photo.
If it's any bigger than that, it'd be a little freaky to be playing around with.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
like, what the heck is that?
Yep. Yeah.
Everything I take a picture of is green.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at it moving. I mean, that is, it looks like they posted that on Facebook. Is that what they said? Scuba Ventures website.
That's an interesting shot there, that last part.
Yeah. Yeah, very, I mean, that has to be cool. And then you got to take time. I mean, it could have been seen before, but if you don't document it and share it, then, you know, it just sits out there.
So you could claim that you saw it earlier than him, and then you get the credit.
But you'd have to have documentation to show.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's going to be found in Lake Michigan, so I'm out of luck.
Yeah, not quite a Lake Michigan species of jelly. Now that we have talked about freshwater jellies.
Yes.
Which we do have in the area. I have yet to see one, but
Franz Park, wasn't that who had them before?
It might be. I mean, I've been to France Park before, and I don't remember seeing it, but...
Well, they had paddlefish there, and I haven't seen one of those there.
I have seen the paddlefish in France Park. That's the one that scared the crap out of me. I was diving with Jim Kleeman, and I've told this story many times in the show before, but he like was gesturing, and he pointed up, and I looked to up and right, and it looked as big as we were. I mean, that's how huge it looked. And it was following us, seeing what we were doing. How about this? A scuba diving robot feels for sunken treasure on the ocean floor. Radical new technology enables deep sea explorers to literally feel sunken treasure in the ocean floor without getting wet. Not only can Stanford's robot Ocean 1K submersible bot venture nearly 3 times as deep as a human diver, its unique touch-based feedback system also provides realistic sensations so the remote pilot can actually feel what the robot touches. It's even equipped with cameras for your eyes to complete the immersive 3D experience. Ocean 1K was used in a recent expedition to successfully retrieve ancient vases from a sunken Roman ship. While the sentient scuba bot can't boast the same depth as other unmanned submersibles, when it comes to touchy-feely treasure hunting techniques, you have to hand it to this one.
Just wonder how they do that tactical sense like that.
Well, I think what they're doing, and they really don't show much. This was a WMUR.com article. And a lot of times a tactile is that you have tactile sensors, that detect the force on the whatever the manipulators are, and then they apply it back. You've got some sort of rig on your hand, so it offers some resistance. So like as you're squeezing, when it gets to a spot and it can't go anymore, it's not like a joystick where you can just keep mashing it. It will actually resist to you.
It sounds like if you had a prosthetic hand, tactile sense, if you could somehow the difference when you would squeeze, pick up objects and stuff.
Yeah. I just lost my paper. You probably don't notice it, but still adjusting some of the light that I've got in this room. Yeah. See, see, there we go. That looks better, doesn't it?
Let there be light.
Let there be light. Let there be a little shadow, no glare.
The shadow knows.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's just the future of these technologies. We've shown with robotics, it's not the hardware of robotics that is the problem. It's really the software, to be able to have the control to allow it to be able to manipulate things. Where if they have a robot controlled by a person, it does much better than if it does it on its own. Now that's a short-term thing. Robotic technology, you fast forward another 20, 30 years, it's going to flip-flop the other way, where the robots are going to be better than us in almost every way.
I would not even gather that's 20 or 30. I bet next 5 years you can see a quantum jump.
It could be.
At Oshkosh this week, up on the opposite side where they have like Kids Land, Kidsville, they have stuff I would like to get in there and play with. And this is for kids from 7 to 15, 16 years old. I mean, one section was teaching them engines. One section was teaching them how to be traffic air controllers on computers. I mean, these kids are not even 12 years old directing simulated traffic. The one in the middle was great because it had a robot and it had it dressed like a dog. He could talk to it and it would roll over. It's like, damn.
Yeah. I've seen that, but you talk about that the kids have such a head start. I was doing a little bit of research, and there was some of the racing leagues actually banned people who had won online competitions. And what this was is that they had some of these, you had the professional racing circuits, and then they had amateur. The simulators, and when I say simulators, these were actually like video games. You could go out less than $100 and buy this video games, and people who had only driven the video games had a very short learning curve with driving the cars. That was putting them better than most of the amateurs.
Yeah, I have seen some of those, and I do not have a clue. Those kids, and that's what they are, kids.
Oh yeah,
can manipulate in a race, going through hoops and what have you. It's like I can't even follow it, much less if I were trying to control it.
Well,
but again, they grew up with using their fingers on that iPad, iPhone, and what have you.
Yeah, well, they've shown, and we could go into a whole tangent on this. It'd be an interesting topic to cover. But that in competitive video games, you get much more than your early 20s, and your reaction speed is already slowed down to enough that you can't be competitive at the highest levels of some of these games. I mean, what's it like at, like, say, 23 to be over the hill? I mean, kind of crazy. I always loved games, but of my friends, I always had a friend who was better at every game that I played than I was. So, not always the same friend, but I was never the best at them. But I really had a blast.
I enjoyed Pong. and tanks, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Mario Brothers, okay.
Yeah.
And Pac-Man.
Well,
Other than those, that's about all I ever did.
Asteroids, and then I did a whole bunch since then. And every once in a while, you know, my kids were into it. But being in the rural area, video games went from you could buy a cartridge and you could just play the cartridge to where you need to have a fast internet. Now, at one point in time, I had internet that in rural that was as good as companies had in the city. But as the technology moved faster, you had to be closer. The signal couldn't go as far. And it's just eroded over time. And that was a funny thing is that's the way when we started the podcast, my connection, relatively speaking, was super fast. But it just, in proportion to what everybody else has gotten slower and slower. Still pretty good. I'm looking right here, and you know, I've got 34 megabytes down. I've got 6 or so going up, which is enough to do a video stream, and I'm getting your stream and that. So yeah.
To old fogies like me, that means absolutely nothing.
It may not mean something, but you want the quicker and
Yes.
faster. That's what you want.
Yes. I appreciate it when it goes good.
Yeah. Well, how about this? Priceless artifacts revealed from 350-year-old Spanish shipwreck in the Bahamas. I think we've covered this.
No, this is not the one that's worth billions, though.
No, that was the one in the Gulf. Yeah, this one is in the Bahamas. It says a new expedition has recovered a trove of priceless artifacts from shipwreck over 350 years old in the Bahamas. The artifacts, which include a jewel-encrusted pendant and gold chains, will be on display at the New Bahamas Maritime Museum beginning next week. And this photo that they show there is courtesy of Allen Exploration. Resto Senora de las Marisvillas, Our Lady of Wonders, sank in a cargo of gold, silver, and gems on the western side of the Little Bahamas Bank in 1656. The Spanish galleon was part of his fleet sailing to Spain from Havana with royalty and privately consigned treasures from the Americas. Failing to navigate the shallow water, however, it collided with a flagship of the fleet, hit a reef of 650 people on board, only 45 survived. Now, are they trying to say that this gold, that they paid people to make this?
How do you mean?
Well, so this was a Spanish ship.
Yeah.
Going to the Americas. And my understanding was it was pretty much just kind of like taken. I mean, it wasn't like you went and said, hey, can you make some of this for me? We'll reimburse you somehow. It says the Spanish galleon is part of a fleet sailing from Havana with royal and privately consigned treasures from the America. Or is that just talking about the funding? Now, there is some, like there's a cross. So the natives on their own probably wouldn't be making a cross of gold. So maybe that was, some requests.
I wouldn't mind finding something like that myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, beautiful.
I would immediately turn it in, of course, to the state.
Oh, of course. You're required to. That would all be the only right thing to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Despite years of repeated ransacking, the team led by Allen Exploration and licensed by the island government launched a new expedition to research the ship and search for lost treasures. The Bohemian and U.S. maritime archaeologists and divers found scattered across the ocean floor a nearly 2-pound, 6-foot-long gold filigree cross, filigree chain featuring rosette motifs, which would have been made for either wealthy aristocrats or royalty. The gold pendant depicting the cross of Santiago, famed for 12 green oval emeralds and a scallop-shaped Indian bezoar stone, which was valued in Europe for its healing properties. It was a symbol for travelers on the religious Santiago de whatever that is, pilgrimage. The stone is among the finds linked to the military religious Knights of Order who protected pilgrims on their journeys to participate in Spain's maritime trade. When we brought up the oval emerald and gold pendant, my breath caught in my throat. I feel like a greater connection with the everyday finds than coins and jewels, but the Santiago finds bridge both worlds. Adding the wreck of the galleon had a tough history, heavily salvaged by Spanish, English, French, Dutch, Bohemian, American expeditions in the 17th and 18th century, and blitzed by salvers in the 1970s and 1990s. Some say the remains were ground to dust. Using modern technology and hard science, we're now tracking a long, winding debris trails of finds. Carl Allen founded Allen Explorations after retiring from plastic business and becoming a philanthropist. Unlike previous expedition teams, Allen team is working with experts to track and publish data on shipwreck. The team is using cutting-edge technology to understand how ship wrecked as well as the wreckage patterns. Additionally, they're collecting data on the health of coral reefs, seafloor geology, and plastic pollution. While the discovery remains a property of the Bahamian government, Allen Exploration is sponsoring the Bahamia's Maritime Museum, which opens on August 8th in Freeport, where the items will be on view.
That's been salvaged for hundreds of years. Can you imagine what it looked like when it went down? And again, it's on a reef, so it's got to be shallow.
Yeah, and it's just...
So how did that get strewn across such a large area?
I mean, just storms moving it. I mean, the ship went down. They knew where it was. You know, there were 45 survivors. Let's see, when did they say that they started? You know, you had the 17th and 8th. So everybody who had a technique could get it. The techniques weren't good enough for salvaging. So what would it have been? Free diving down and grabbing stuff?
Well, does it say how deep it was?
They don't.
I'm sure that's part of it. The other one they used to do is take a net between two boats, way down the line across, and then have a net up and then drag it across the sea bottom and pick stuff up.
Yeah, but if you're in corals, I mean, we don't have a lot of detail here, but I mean, I can see where it could be tough, and then you've got storms come, because it probably didn't get, you probably had an initial salvage, and then it might have been seasons later where you went.
Oh.
But yeah, cool. I mean, those are some nice to still think that for a wreck that had been picked over that many times, that you could still find something of that condition is.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm betting just about everything is encrusted now, so you're going to have to use some detectors.
Oh, I've got a couple. I'd go
yeah, you go down there, you'd volunteer for a mere 70-80%. You'd do it.
Well, just let me look around for a day or two, and I'll give you back everything I find if I find anything.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd probably be very unlucky, though.
Yeah, yeah. All I found was this lead fishing weight.
Yep, that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Don't look
Probably
in the
more
other
true
bag.
than that one.
Well, that does it for Scuba News. We went through that one pretty quick. So I understand.
Nice little topics there.
Yeah, I understand.
Nice little topics.
I understand that there was somebody got some diving. You said it was some real diving.
Well, actually, the last couple of weeks, been a lot of wreck diving going on. Several groups have been out to the newly recovered or uncovered Wheeler.
Okay, excellent.
Michigan City. They hit the Muskegon. I don't know if anybody hit the breakwater. Of course, you know they got the Havana buoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Even last Tuesday's dive was going to be on the North Pier, but I got a call from Bob and said, "Hey, you want to take the little Zodiac?" So I went with him. Big John took his boat, Kurt, and two more people on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kevin and Amy showed up on the North Beach Pier. But we got around there first, and it was green. the visibility didn't really look good, so we scooted to the south pier, and we could see down the sides of the pier heads. So we said, we're going to dive there. So Amy and them came. They were going to go ahead and dive there because they had established this is going to be the dives. If anybody showed up late and was going to do a beach dive or a pier dive, they didn't want to be over there with us with the boats.
Right.
So they stuck over there, and we dove the south pier basically. But and no hoods, didn't need gloves. Down to 25 feet.
Wow.
Thermocline got about 26. Yeah, it was very, very pleasant. And certain parts would be sort of a couple of feet viz, and then other places 10 feet. And I did do some video. All my fish are always green, though.
Oh, your fish are?
Yeah.
I mean, we can do some color corrections.
We ran into lots and lots of fish.
A lot of fish. That's good, then.
Yep. And the bigger fish, though, were out towards the end of the south pier, 45 degrees out where the big hole is. That's where the bigger fish are hiding. Not hiding, but it's also deeper and colder there. But everyone had a good dive. Nice, safe, and fun. And anytime you can dive Lake Michigan and not need a hood, I'm for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can get away with not wearing a hood.
Yeah, and be comfortable. That's the other key word.
Yeah.
So yes, people are getting wet, and the boats have been out now.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were reading the paper. We've been getting a lot of coverage on problems with bacteria on the beaches. Were the beaches still closed, or they started to open them up again?
All the ones I've seen have been open. I know last week we had mentioned that there were 7 different times for several beaches that were closed by effluent. But I've not seen anything in the paper on that in the last week or so.
Okay. And what is I mean, is that just the rain and it's the waste treatment's not able to keep up?
That's part of it, but if you look and when you fly around, you'll see a lot of inlets feeding in. A lot of that, I feel, is coming from those inlets because they're not controlled, as they wouldn't be.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like we need...
I was going to say we've had a couple of good rainstorms that have maybe overburdened some of the waste treatment plants to the south of us, but not heard anything about ours locally.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of heavy rain. We've had some moments. Like we had a storm come through just last night. Was it last night? Yeah, last night.
It was 4 o'clock.
Yeah, 4 o'clock on the dime. They had that one dialed in.
Yeah, it probably lasted collectively 45 minutes, but lots of lightning and got a lot of rain.
A lot of people without.
But then, boom, it's gone.
It came through and it was done. I was at robotics when it happened, and when I came home, there were trees down and all sorts of stuff. So we did lose power for about 10 minutes, and there's still roads that are closed. I'm imagining they must have trees or power lines still down.
Well, a friend of mine down in Michigan City, his mother's apartment, they were out of power for 27 hours.
Yeah.
So he spent the day going through getting rid of stuff out of the refrigerator and refilling it.
Well, my daughter, who lives in Pikesville, Kentucky, they had really bad flooding there. Was it 2 or 3 weeks ago? And a week ago, she took a photo, and it was an AAP truck from South Bend. It was all the way down there helping restore power.
I saw a couple of newscasts on that. They got torrential rains all through the low country.
Yep.
And they have had towns that were just totally wasted.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name of the town, but every building downtown, police station, fire department, ambulance service, all of those were flooded. And when I say flooded, the one guy said he stayed alive by staying on top of his vehicle in the barn.
Yeah.
He kept thinking it was going to go up and crush him to the roof. That's pretty significant.
Right. Yeah, the town she was in was pretty fortunate, but there was a lot that weren't. And they've done billions and billions of dollars in redirecting. So where she's at, they had carved out the mountains and moved highways. And she showed me some photos. And that, because it's all stone. And the canals they had dug were extremely deep, and that's where the water is. So you're going over bridges and you're looking down, and it's quite a bit down there. And the water was like right to the surface of these banks. And to get to that, that's just a lot of water.
Oh, yeah.
But the ground doesn't absorb it. You get, say you get 20 inches of rain, it's falling and then going somewhere. So low ground gets it worse.
That's like flash floods out there out west.
Mm-hmm.
You got nothing. Everything's dry and barren. And water comes. It doesn't get sucked up. It goes and it's channeled.
Yep. Well, do you have a dive safety story for this week?
Well, actually, I do. Let me find my notes here. Somewhere I have it here.
Somewhere in the notes.
Let's see. I think we talked about e-learning last week on being prepared diver. So I need I'll find it in a second.
It's coming.
I know I have it here. I like this one. Well, I'm not liked it, but it's interesting. This is from Dan. I went through some of their files and what have you. This is a report they did called "Violations of Safe Diving Practices Among 122 Diver Fatalities." So I said, that sounds quite interesting. Let's see what it's got to say. So the background is diving is popular recreational sport, excellent safety record with an estimated 1.8 deaths per million dives. The study investigated the relationship between intentional deviation from accepted diving practices, which they call violations, and diver fatalities. Now, materials and methods, the authors examined 119 incidences, of which had 122 diver fatalities, and none of these involved diver training in North America or the Caribbean. Right? And it identified the presence of violations of accepted diving safety practices, as well as the death, or as if the death was associated with an acute medical event such as a heart attack. Now, the results of the 122 fatalities, 57% were associated with a medical event. 43 were non-medical. Violations of safety practices were found in 45% of the fatalities. Violations were recorded for 23% of the medical, and 75% were non-medical fatalities. It sounds convoluted. The key item they talked about was divers who died from something other than a medical cause were 7 times as likely to have one or more violations associated with the fatality, meaning they violated some safe practice. The odds of dying from something other than a medical condition increased approximately 60% for each additional 32 feet of depth. So the shallower you were, the safer you were, which also makes sense. The odds of death being associated with a medical condition increased basically 10% per year of age or 2.4 times for every 10 years or older a diver was. And basically what they're saying there is you did get older, your medical conditions got wider, more serious, and your diving increased your chances of dying from something medically oriented, kicked in by something about your diving. The conclusions, medical events are associated with over 50% of the non-training related diver fatalities. The odds of death being associated with medical condition doubling each decade of additional age. Therefore, this data supports and recommends divers must stay physically fit, have regular medical checkups, especially as they get older. They also support the safety belief of adhering to established safe diving practices. Key items that we had talked about before was start with a full tank of air, come up with air in the reserve, 1/3 down, 1/3 up, 1/3 reserve in that area. Knowing your limits, because you did it 10 years ago doesn't mean you can do it today. So I thought that was quite interesting.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Some good points there.
I do have that thing. I think I had another little item that was interesting, if I can find it real quick. Hang on for a second. Okay, recreational diving fatalities. Some of this, when we talk about what we just looked at, it says the risk of dying during recreational diving are small. What did we say? 1.9 per million?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. Dive Alert Dan Network held a workshop to consider whether the risk could be reduced further. Topics included investigations, surveillance, operational safety, and cardiovascular disease. Investigation is essential to determine causes and effects and involves on-the-scene inquiry, forensic examination of those who died, testing of life support equipment, but thorough investigations are unusual, meaning even though they try to do all of this, usually especially if it's a solo or you lost your buddy, they really don't know what happened. Independent annual fatality rates were presented and reviewed for diving, jogging, motor vehicle accidents, and for divers in training. Common factors associated with diving fatalities include something we talked about last week, the week before. Number one, running out of air. Number two, entrapment or entanglement. In entrapment, they meant shipwrecks, caverns, caves, any place you couldn't see your way out of. Number three was buoyancy control. Number four, equipment misuse. Number five, rough water. And six, emergency ascents. Emergency ascent because you ran out of gas or you had equipment malfunction because you may have used it wrong. And we've talked about those six. I mean, those are killers. And always talked about asphyxia by drowning, air embolism, cardiac events were the principal injuries or causes of death, which would make sense. Asphyxia by drowning because you ran out of air. Embolism, you came up too fast. Cardiac events, rough waters, entanglements, you got stressed out. 25% of the deaths were associated with cardiac events, mostly in older divers. And they said the revised procedures for identifying what they said, occult cardiovascular disease in candidate divers who warrant further investigation. But you got to be careful of the older but previously certified divers who are at the greater risk. And generally, you know when you shouldn't be doing something, but you do it anyway.
Yeah, you got a clue. I mean, that's just bad planning. I mean, the planning or distraction is all I can think of that. Entanglement, I mean, a lot of times that's a symptom of overdiving. I mean, you're diving beyond your training or experience.
And if you did that, you came up with a little bit of air, your buoyancy sucked, and the water was really 4-foot waves, was it when you went down?
Mm-hmm.
I would have a hard time on the surface battling 4-foot waves, especially if I were heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're
But if you're heavy, what are you supposed to do? Get rid of the damn weights.
Yeah, all your weight should be ditchable.
And they always say when they find the bodies, always got your weight pouches on you.
Yeah. You just need to overweight and then have a surface marker buoy so they know where to pick up the body.
Well, I always carry a buoy on my arm, so I'm good. I may be lost, but you're going to find me easy.
Yeah.
Hopefully not anytime soon.
Well, I think that's what we have. Do you have anything you want to plug before we get on out of here?
Not really. I'm really anxious to see Kevin. Mm-hmm. He was doing some scanning. He crossed and he published the photos, not where, but it says, this sure does look like an upside down boat, guys.
Yeah.
And it certainly does.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll go out there, find it, him and Amy, mm-hmm. and get lucky and find something that was really significant and something they can put a name to.
Yeah, and
that would be great.
And we'll have him on. I've just been so busy to do the prep. We'll get him on so he can talk about his recent shipwreck findings. So are you ready for that time of the show?
I am sitting down, ever ready.
Okay, well, this will be a little bit different. This is, we're in August here in North America, in the Midwest, so it gets kind of toasty, at least for us. Yeah, before you know it, it'll be icy, but here's some It's So Hot. It's so hot, I bought some bread and it turned into toast. It's so hot, the chicken laid hard-boiled eggs. It's so hot, the cows are producing evaporated milk.
I like that one.
It's so hot, Optimus Prime transformed into an air conditioner. It's so hot, my popcorn seeds started popping. It's so hot, I called my ex to get some shade. It's so hot that Satan went to hell to cool down. It's so hot that Jehovah's Witnesses started telemarketing. It's so hot birds started pulling worms out with an oven mitt. It's so hot that even artificial plants are wilting.
That's hot.
Yeah. It's so hot my dream house is now an igloo. It's so hot my clothes dried right before I took them out of the washing machine. It's so hot my sweat started sizzling. It's so hot that firecrackers lit themselves. And then
that's getting pretty warm.
Yeah. And then it's so hot my frozen pizza was ready to eat after taking it out of the freezer.
Where'd you get those? Those are cute.
Yeah, just find them online. There's tons of them. I usually don't do the one-liners, but dig in the bottom of the barrel, so to speak. So
it wasn't bad today. I did get the lawn cut because the overcast. It was humid, and the sun had been out. It would not have been fun at all.
Yeah. Yeah, today wasn't too terrible, but I've been moving stuff. So let's do the tagline. Go out there and get wet.
That and stay safe doing it.
And then we'll do the little fading so I know where to cut. But maybe we'll keep the streaming just as a bonus. But I'm going to show you some of what I've been working on. Yeah, I'm already looking on schedules. I've got robotics event we've got to plan. I've got fair working the corn dog booth. But
that's coming up. That'll be here before you know it.
A week. There's in a week.
Is it that soon?
Yes, it is.
My gosh.
Well,
then we'll see a COVID spike next week, right?
Yeah. It seems like it. So I don't even know if this. Let me see. I'll show this, and see if I can.
I was at the Oshkosh last week. Largest crowd in almost 50 years.
Really?
650,000 plus. And was reading today the number of people saying, "Oh, by the way, I have COVID." And the number of people that got it were all the people who sat together on the trams and went around the places. I mean, I wore a mask in a lot of places there. A lot of places I didn't. But if it's crowded, I sure as hell did. And I'm glad. Sass was there, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They flew in camp for a couple of days.
Yeah. But that's a good sign. I think it's a good sign when you have an event like that and it's the largest it's ever been.
Well, last year I went again, and it started recovering from COVID. And this year it's like people said, "Screw it. I've been sheltered for so long." And so many people have already had COVID. Some people twice.
There are people who are on their third time.
They seem to feel since it didn't hurt them badly. And again, I'm not talking people older like myself. Most of these people are darn sight younger.
Well, they expect in the long term this will turn out to be just like a seasonal bug. I have, knock on wood, yet to get it. I'm just not around that many people. With robotics, it's about total time. And you can keep some distance and not be breathing the same air and everything else. But yeah, here's a photo. This was our, so we're moving from our old build space to our new build space. And I'd say we're about a third of the way there. Tonight, you can kind of see it in the photo there. You see there's kind of like a balcony. There's like 5 rooms up there. And each room has an office. So we have office cubes that we're moving in there and desks. And that's what I've been doing. The previous weeks was this, which is steel, and we've got it all wired up, lit up and stuff. And then, yeah, I'm probably only halfway done, and I got to have it done before school starts.
Did you know school in Florida starts next week?
Ours doesn't start too much. Like we got fair, I think the week after fair, school starting. So Michigan's been moving it up. It's now before Labor Day. It used to never be.
Yeah.
I got to drive a forklift. I haven't driven a forklift in years.
I used to teach driving a forklift.
Well, I was a certified instructor for forklift. But it's like I went from driving one every day to not driving one. I think the last time I had driven a forklift, because we have them at the plant I'm at, but I just don't, it's not my job responsibility and I don't need it.
Oh.
And then, so it's probably been 20, 30 years since I'd driven one. And I say that maybe I've gotten on one and moved a forklift around, but this, I got to drive it down the road. I was moving that big toolbox there. It weighs about 1,000 pounds. So I borrowed the forklift for that and drove it down.
Do I see the toolbox from here?
Yeah. If you look, you see where the robot is that's sitting in the middle? And then you see the 3 gray cabinets. To the left is the toolbox.
That orange thing?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a work counter that flips down. So we can flip that work counter up to give us extra workspace when we're at an event. But that's a full double stacked toolbox. And it's loaded. And we've beefed up all the wheels. We've replaced all the wheels on it from what they originally had to, I think each wheel can support like 1,000 pounds. It's pretty nuts.
Wow.
Well, because if you don't, because we're going down the road, so we load the toolboxes into a trailer. And then you might go 1,000 miles. Worlds this year is going to be in Houston again. So we're looking forward to that. Let me see if I got any other photos I can show you. Here was last night when the power went out. I said, I wonder how much power's out. That's the number of outages.
Whoa.
And each of those clusters is more than 100 people.
Huh.
Yeah, there was a lot of them. Let's see, then. Yeah, I'll show this. Here's the back door to our build site. There's the pit. I just finished wiring up the lights. And then this off to the right here will be our practice field. And I've got about another 7 or 8 blue banners to hang up there.
What is that, stack of boxes or so? Oh, no, okay, now I see what it is.
Oh,
it's a stanchion for her legs.
Well, right, because this was originally a game element. TIG Masters in Baroda made it. It's for steel. And then what it did is we had bars across it, and there's a teeter-totter, and it could support 6 robots hanging.
Oh.
So it was rated, robot loaded with a battery can be over 150 pounds. So, what's that times 6? 900 pounds. So that's what it was designed to support. And then the legs are just this 4 foot by 4 foot steel tubing. And we wanted them, we put this 1 foot block because they were using entertainment truss on the official fields. So that was so the drivers had to learn to navigate around it. But it just so happens to be a nice structure. So we've used it as a pit. And so what I did is I put in a circuit panel, ground fault outlets, lights. So that becomes a nice focal point. And then we're going to redo the sign. And then here you can see those rooms up above. Down below is our machining room where we have our tools. And then up above we have like programming, business, CAD, 3D printing. They're all up in those other rooms.
That just proves to me you ain't in it for the kids. You're having fun.
Oh yeah,
if
I wasn't having fun at it, I wouldn't be doing it. I mean, that's for sure. But I am trying to figure out my escape plan. But I've got to get. Oh yeah. Here's some more photos. See, there it is on the forklift. I was like, well, got to get it done. And here's what this is an old picture. We did more tonight. I didn't take a picture of it. But there's what the rooms upstairs look like. So we're putting in these cubes. I think this was probably the programming one, and I've added more shelves. So I'll do some more photos when we get that done. But it doesn't happen on its own, and it's summer, so I've got almost no students helping. We had 1 student tonight. We had 2 on Tuesday. Oh, here's my office at home. I don't know if I've shown this photo. Did I show this one last week?
You showed some, but not a good one like this.
Yeah. Well, and it even looks better now. I'll have a photo for next week. I'll show it because I didn't like this layout, so I've changed it since then. I have to say, working from home, it's like making time.
Well, we're going to have to get you in the water before the year gets over.
Yeah. Oh, did Have you ever been to TNT, the Redbud Track and Trail?
Nope. Well, I've been by it, never been to an event there.
I had never either. It's just around the corner, but since I was already in there, we went and looked and watched.
Yeah, Sir Larry used to do that stuff. Did dirt work with the bike. Actually, he got back into diving because the last time he broke his leg. For that, he had some time off, so he started back scuba diving. And then he almost quit again. Then we started going up north, going to wreck diving. And he's hung in there for the last 50 years now.
Here's, and this is a nice distraction. See if this will play. This is here in the backyard. I don't know if you can see it. I'll start walking up here in a minute.
Something in the middle.
Yeah. Very dangerous. You got to watch out. They can poke your eye out. Can I zoom? Well, let me zoom in. You're not hearing the audio, but the ground is crunchy.
So what's under the table?
It's just hay, grass.
Turkey in the back?
Yep. See him?
Yeah.
Oh, I think he just went over. Oh, there he goes. I was going to edit that down, but I lost my motivation. All the things I've got to do. Oh.
Oh, you got your hands full, that's for sure.
Yep. Well, plenty to keep me busy. Here, we'll kill this stream.